everyone. Welcome to Just Riffin with Jules Leyhe, a show where we talk about techniques, tones, and tips from some of my favorite guitar players in the industry today. In today's video, we're going to talk about Norm's Rare guitars, a couple of new pieces of gear that are out, and all sorts of things like guitar techniques, songwriting inspiration. I have a very special guest today, the one and only Angela Petrilli. Angela, thank you so much for being here today. How are you doing?
Thanks for having me, Jules. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great too. And just want to say really quick thank you. Angela had the wonderful guitar player Aaron Shreve. Aaron and I were invited to play at Norm's by Angela. And you can check that video out. We'll have the link in the description below here. But man, it was so fun to check off the Norm's Rare guitar box. It's a very prestigious place to play. And just to have done that with Aaron was really, really cool. So I wanted to say thank you for letting us, for inviting us. It was really great.
It is my pleasure. The only bummer with that is that I had Namthrax while you guys were there and I couldn't join you. But I'm glad you guys had a great time.
Yeah, Namthrax took Angela out, so we're going to have to make another trip sometime.
It was rough. It was a rough week.
Yeah. Well, we'll do it again sometime where we actually get to play. But actually, that's a great place to start. I definitely, most people watching this probably know you from Norm's. And I'm just a little bit curious. I've got some questions to get through that'll kind of get us there from the Norm's funnel. But let's start from the beginning. How did you get involved with Norm's Rare guitars in the first place?
Okay, so it's a funny story. I'd known about it for years, obviously, us guitar players. We all know about this place. And I was in Northridge getting my passport renewed because I was going to visit a friend in Australia. This was almost 10 years ago, by the way, which is just bananas to me. And so Northridge is pretty close to Tarzana. So I had some time. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to hit a ton of traffic right now. It was earlier in the morning and they had just opened. And I just walked in and picked up a really beautiful 60s Martin. And Jordan, Norm's son, saw me and heard me playing. And he goes, hey, do you want to do a video right now? We got Jen here and, we shoot videos of people who come in. And I'm like, of course. So I played. And they invited me back. They go, come back. And if you have a band, bring your band too. And that was almost 10 years ago.
Wow.
That's how it started. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's so cool. And then obviously you came back and did you bring your band and you did it again? And that
I did. Brought the band. So at the time I was in a band called Roses and Cigarettes. So I brought my bandmate Jenny and we did some acoustic videos there and that was really fun. And then, I started the Players and I brought the guys there and we did 3 live in one take videos of 3 songs from my upcoming EP at the time called The Voices. And it turned out so great. I decided to make a live EP out of it. So we released that last year. So just those 3 songs from that performance at Norm's. And yeah, it was really special. It meant a lot to me and the guys to do that.
Awesome.
It's a beautiful place.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just on that note too, I was down there right after the Norm's documentary came out on Netflix. And it was like, I asked Michael Lemo a question and he was like, it was so funny. The look on his face was like, please hold while your party is reaching. The phones were ringing off the hook. The online orders, I think they got like a year's worth of t-shirt orders in 2 days.
Yeah, it's been a little hectic in the loveliest way.
Definitely.
Since the release of that Netflix documentary, it's been a madhouse, but it's Norm is such a people person and he loves chatting with people and taking photos and all of that stuff. So he absolutely loves it.
Now that's so cool. And I experienced that too. I was, a funny thing that I didn't expect to experience was how much of a hard worker and a salesman Norm is to this day of guitars, He
loves it.
Oh,
he
totally.
loves it. And the documentary that Devin and Sarah put together did such a beautiful job of showing his passion for what he does and his passion for music and for helping indie artists. I cried a little when I watched it. It was really touching. It's a great documentary. Even if I wasn't involved, with being part of the Norms family. It's really special.
Completely. And so another question, that's something just digging deeper into that topic, and something that's happened to me when I've been lucky enough to spend a fair amount of time with some really accomplished, very famous music industry people. One person specifically, just as like a specific reference to somebody that I'm talking about, is I drove Taj Mahal around as his sort of, it was like getting back to normal out of COVID. I ended up driving Taj Mahal around to about 30 events in 2021, and I was like his chauffeur, and it was amazing. And he was so cool to me. He was very respectful and just kind. And the amount of time that we spent just talking about gear, about guitar, about slide guitar, about Rycooter. Like, it's just all these amazing things. He really sort of just was very generous with his time and didn't condescend or anything. He was just so cool. And something that I'm curious about you is this time at a place like Norms, where you get rock stars coming in. You get very famous people. This is an establishment. What does being in that environment, what have you learned? What have you seen? How do people handle themselves? Just there's this sort of prestige, and it's not just because, oh, Norms, it's a name or something. It's a way that people do things. It's a way that people handle themselves. I'm curious about just patterns that you see and, signs of respect, music industry, just that sort of like the heavyweight sort of, if you could sort of let us know what, because I could tell when I was there even that one day. There were a bunch of heavyweight guitar players just walking around, and it was like, oh, wow, this place, there's something special in the air here. Could you talk about that for a little bit?
Sure. It's a special place, and everyone knows that when they go. It's like, like you said, it's a bucket list place. When you get to go there's something very special about it. But yeah, I've been in there. There was one day Kaleo showed up, the entire band, and then Jack Black showed up after they left, and then Lucas Nelson showed up after Jack Black left. And it was great. And the one thing that tied all three of those, the band and Jack and Lucas, was that they just all love guitars. And it was really cool to see there was no egos. They were all really, really cool. And they were just excited to see what Norm had. And they played everything. Like Jack Black, he was hanging out with us for like an hour and a half. We were talking guitars, and he couldn't have been lovelier. And was just such a nice guy. And just everyone's an equal. Everyone's an equal when you go there. Everyone is treated the same. That's a big thing. It always warms my heart when I go there. When with Norm, it could be a little kid who's buying his first guitar. His mom and dad are bringing him there to, okay, we're going to this really special guitar store. To someone like Joe Bonamassa walking in and buying a really cool Strat that he saw Lemo use on a Guitar of the Day episode. But the one thing we all have in common is that camaraderie with how amazing and how fun music and guitars are.
That's awesome. And I I've seen exactly what Angela was just describing. It's so true. You could, figuratively speaking, you could take a swing and miss and you're okay there. It's a safe place to just love guitars, and we're all equals when we walk in the door. And it's just really, that feeling is, you feel it if you've just been there for like an hour. So it's awesome to hear as somebody who's been there for a long time like you, that's how you feel about it. What a great authentic experience you get when you walk in the door there.
It's a special place. Yeah. We're really fortunate. Fortunate Absolutely. To know Norm and have him in my life, and, the whole crew. It's pretty special.
Yeah. And so I'm curious. Okay, so that's a great little segue, because you just brought up, talking about like the kid who's just buying their first guitar and their potential exciting future and all that. And then we've also got the other side of the coin, which is like these well-known rock stars and famous people walking in, and, we've got like, we're kind of covering the whole spectrum there. And something that I'm curious about, there's a lot of something that I've been seeing a lot recently. It's funny. So this just like this couple layers to this onion here that I'm peeling for you. But what I'm curious about is the difference between, you get a guy like Eric Johnson, guitar god, and really like a signature style. He plays a couple notes and people go, "Hey, that's Eric Johnson." And then we have the other side of the coin, which is that there are a lot of people these days in cover bands. There are a lot of people who don't have a signature style, but boy, they might love music or they are really good at whatever they do. Do you see anything like that? Is there any vibe, or is there any sort of, I guess I'm kind of curious about just like where people fall in. It's really hard to have your super original style that only you have, and somehow you're this unique person in the guitar world. I'm curious about just sort of like fitting in and finding people, some people might want to have a cover band where they cover every song and they do it as exactly as they can. And some people might want to play like a record, but do it their own band's way. I'm just kind of curious about like, different strokes for different folks, and how the guitar is just this sort of like, you don't have to be striving to be your own most unique, come up with everything from scratch player to have a really good time and even like a successful career. So is there any sort of maybe advice or things that you've seen along that sort of, side of things? It's funny because it's kind of a contentious topic these days of like, well, you're copying so-and-so, so it doesn't count. And, the conclusion I've kind of come to is just, hey, music is great. And this thing is such a powerful tool for me to get my voice across, whether I'm copying Jimi Hendrix or if I'm trying to sound like Jules Leyhe. So just kind of curious about your thought about that whole, copying versus being an innovator, and if anything's better, or, what you've seen through the years playing and being at Norms and just being a musician in the industry these days.
That's a really, really good question. Okay, so I'm going to answer this the best I can with all the points that you hit. So in regards to playing things note for note, it's a great tool, and my guitar teacher told me this, and students this too, is if there's a solo that you really like, learn it note for note. Because by understanding, let's say like a Jimi Hendrix solo, how he approached this and this and this, and how he did those slides instead of bending into those notes. And wow, he used these double stops here, and to utilize this technique and this technique. It only fuels the fire to help you find your voice. So things like that I think are important, is picking a solo and learning it note for note. Because you will find your voice through it. It's like, he or she did this when they did this slide part. Okay, well, in my head, and the more that solo, gets encapsulated in you, let me try this and this and this. Because your own style will come through. I think. I've seen it happen with me, and I've seen it happen with students of mine too, and other colleagues and players that I admire very much. It's a neat thing. So I encourage folks to, if there's a solo that you absolutely love, learn it. And then putting your own spin on something, especially if you're in a band. Like, for example, with my band, we recently released a cover of No Quarter by Led Zeppelin. So, of course, covering Led Zeppelin just in general is something that is, you gotta know your stuff. You gotta really love the band. Because it is absolutely a tall order, but I'm a massive, massive Led Zeppelin fan. So I knew, like, if you're going to go and cover a song, it's important to do it in your own voice. And again, this is my opinion. It's important to do it in your own voice, yet tip the hat and pay respects to the original authors of the song, I think. So there are certain things you want to do, and then it leaves space for certain things for yourself as a player to move through. So, for example, with the No Quarter, I think the key sound and the organ and the whirly and all of that stuff, I think needs to be pretty dead on. Like, you got to get that close to what John Paul Jones did. But things like, instrumentation, my buddy Matt LeMayo is the harmonica player in the band. So it's like, how cool to have a harp solo at the end to kick us off and send us off. And in regards to the solo, I didn't want to do the solo note for note as Jimmy. You could easily go and listen to No Quarter or, something from Madison Square Garden and go and listen to that. I feel like in a band setting, if you are putting your own spin on a song, whether it's something that's very popular or something that maybe not a lot of people know, it's like a deep cut or beast. There are instances where you want to pay tribute, but also you want to pay tribute to yourself too. So I knew with the solo that I wanted to do my own thing, yet tip the hat to all the cool stuff that Jimmy did. And it's like, okay, well, he's using like kind of a neat Dorian thing. Let me really explore that in this solo, but do it in my own voice. But it's an interesting thing. This is art at the end of the day. This is art that we are making. It is not content. If we are thinking content, it's not going to be authentic. There's that very delicate balance of art and content. So with something like that, I'm like, all right, here's my artistic representation of what No Quarter sounds like to Angela Petrilli and the Players. And, any songs that we choose to pay tribute to, you want to put a little bit of yourself in there too.
What a thoughtful answer. Thank you for that, because honestly, I mean, that's about how I would have answered it too, I think. I agree completely. And just my example of that sort of like No Quarter, doing a cover and like a heavy cover that, you want to handle with care and do a thoughtful job on. And one of my examples is covering Jeff Beck songs and playing them with the slide. I'm really like a slide-centric player. That's not the only thing that I do, but that's sort of like what most people kind of are starting to know me as these days. And so I found a really cool way of sort of paying tribute to Jeff Beck by playing his song, but then I'm playing it my own way because I'm playing slide and he didn't actually play slide. So it's exactly this kind of cool, like you said, tipping the cap to him, but then kind of putting my own spin on it and just kind of checking both boxes off in a really nice sort of great way that works for everybody. So I love that because, it's funny. I guess part of what I was getting at with the whole thing there, and you were talking about this, is like, well, what are we all expected to write our own songs? And, you can't play a Tom Petty song because Tom Petty already wrote it. Or, and that's kind of ridiculous, of course. We
especially someone like Tom Petty, he'd be like, oh, yeah, I want you playing my songs. I want you covering them. Of course. Oh, my gosh. Tom Petty's one of my favorites. I play his stuff all the time.
Totally.
Yeah, talk about a great songwriter. And just to the point, you have a verse, you have a hooky chorus, and simple, effective stuff. Especially like with him and Mike Campbell, like things were nice and tight and melodic and hooky and catchy. Like that's a great song.
And so much to learn if you're a student of guitar, and if you're a student of music, forget coming out with your own style and all this stuff. You got to start somewhere. So learning Creedence Clearwater, Tom Petty, the Kinks, the Ramones, that's easy, relatively easy, simple maybe. Simple is a better word to use than easy maybe. But, of course, learning those songs and playing that is just such a great way to understand how music works, get your chops up and everything. So I love that. It's funny, being in the music world and being on the internet, being in the social media game, you said it. Content really is kind of different from art. I mean, art might be content, but content is not necessarily art.
And so it's a delicate balance. It's a delicate balance.
Yeah. Are there any other now? Okay, so that's a great example. Playing No Quarter. Are there other things that you consider when you and your band are going to do a video shoot, or if you're going to write some songs or something? Do you consider things like, how much planning out do you do? How much are you in charge of things like songwriting and collaborating with your bandmates? How much do you have something fully fleshed out and you say, here's what I want, folks? Or is it kind of like you start with a little seed and you kind of grow it together? How does that process work for you and your band?
What I do is I have a fully fleshed out song. So, and I recorded 3 new songs for our upcoming EP with the guys, a little over a month ago. And I had charts written out and, rhythm charts and all that stuff. And I gave it to the guys. I'm like, okay. And when I gave them the demo, it's just me and a click, right? If that. And we go in and we rehearse it out. So the five of us get together. And I said, here's the vibe I'm hearing in my head. And like, for example, I'll give them a playlist. And this, I do this with every EP, is like a production and like kind of mixing playlist and inspiration playlist too. So it's like, here's where my head was at on this song. Here's where my head was at on this song, as far as like textures and dynamics and, you know, how instruments are layered, like that kind of thing, or just the vibe, energy that the song gives me. I'm like, I want to, you know, capture this, but in our way. So I give them a song that's fully fleshed out. And what we do is we sit around, but it's collaborative too. I'm like, hey, so, you know, what are you guys thinking? And I like to leave a space where we can all be very open and, hey, like, I'm hearing this. There was one particular song, we're going to call it Live Again. And my buddy Stephen Hawker, who is the drummer, and he helps mix and he helps produce with me. He goes, hey, I'm hearing this triplet thing on the drums. What do you think? And I'm like, that's great. That's staying. And it's the best idea wins at the end of the day. I don't care whose idea it was. The best idea is going to win. So like, I write the songs and I have like, here's the parts and all of this. But if someone has a killer idea, like, hey, I'm hearing this kind of drum beat, or I'm hearing this lick here on this little section, because there'll be parts I'm like, hey, Bobby, you know, keyboards, all right, I'm hearing this. Okay, Matt, harmonica, I'm hearing this. You know, Brett on bass, hey, you know, locking in with Steven on this particular part, like, come up with something cool. I want them all. It's really important to me to have it be a very open and collaborative, you know, where you know, idea is dumb, you know, and say, and it's happened before where one of the guys is like, hey, well, how about this? It's never like a no, because I said so. I'm like, I don't think it fits the vibe, because I always like to give a why. If I don't like it, there's a why, not just like, no, because I'm the boss. Like, I don't think that's a cool foundation to set.
Yeah.
It's like I hear you and I can see why you said that, but here's why I'm not really feeling it. And I think that's important. I really try to, I think, you know, being very clear and honest and transparent is very important to me in leading a band. So, because it's a lot, and every, you know, I'm sure you know this too, every personality is different. No two band members are alike in the way that they hear music, the way that they play music, the way they are as people, and the way they communicate, and that sort of thing. So it's just important to, you know, give validation to every voice that is heard. It's very important to me in a band, because it's already tough enough. You know, you're playing a lot, and in regards to, you know, how often we play. So I play more with other bands than I do with my own, because I'm a side lady too. So if, you know, so and so needs acoustic or electric guitar, like, I'm your gal, and I do background vocals too, and all that stuff. And we all have our own different projects, and we all tour with other bands too. So when we do come and get together, it's really special. And, you know, like right now I'm staying in LA. Touring is expensive. I'm sure you know this too. And, you know, I've mentioned this before, is, you know, if I have a chunk of money and it's like, well, we can tour or we can create a really kick-ass album. I'm kind of in the kick-ass album camp right now, is let's put that towards something that's really beautiful and artistic, and, you know, something we can get very, very excited about. Not to say I don't want to tour, because I absolutely would. I just don't think it's the time for me yet, you know, but definitely one of these days. And I do like to fly out to cities and do like ins and outs. So, you know, I'll go to Austin once a year. I've been going to Nashville once a year, and that's been really fun. But it's important to, you know, play a lot and to explore and to stay curious and creative. So I do my best to do all of those things.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's now. I would love. Do you have your axe there? Could we hear an example of? I would love to hear, just like you were talking about. Like, let's say you're, you know, maybe one of these newer tunes that you have that you just wrote or that you just brought to the band. Could you kind of demonstrate a little bit of how you might like hammer away on your guitar and sort of like find a chord progression or a melody, or just, you know, a little bit of your like initial songwriting planting a seed of a song. Like, could you walk us through a little bit of that?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is one tune that was on the first EP, The Voices. It's called Slapjack, and it's an instrumental. Because I feel like not a lot of folks are doing instrumentals these days, and I'm like, I really want to do one because I think they're really fun. And sometimes it's nice to take a break from singing and just enjoy the band. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And just to like just jam.
Yeah.
So I came up with the main riff. So, like, we were all together. I had rented a house. This was during COVID. And I had rented a house on 5 acres in Joshua Tree. And I'm like, let's just all get out of LA and let's just, like, kind of write and see what happens. So I had that riff before we went to the trip. And, like, I was just sitting there with this. And I'm like, hey, guys, just kind of, like, groove on something. Like, what are you feeling? And it just kind of sprung out. Like, Ted, who's the drummer at the time, he came up with a really cool beat, did like some cool cowbell stuff. I'm like, wow, that's really hooky and great. And we just kind of played. So that was one that was built like right then. And then something like The Voices I had written actually here at this desk in the spare room. And it was just a 2-chord thing back and forth. The lyrics had actually come first. And the lyrics are like kind of dark and mysterious. I'm like, whoa, like this is kind of deep and came from somewhere, you know. They're dark lyrics and like kind of, you know. But I really liked them and I connected with them because it was very much this theme of the optimist and pessimist, which I think we have to deal with a lot, especially as musicians. Like, oh my gosh, I'm having so much fun, and like, oh my gosh, did I make a massive mistake doing music as a living, you know? So with that, I just went between A and G. Like, it was nothing like astronomical. Okay, you know, I'm doing like a like crazy. I didn't want any sharp 9 or like flat 9 chords, like anything like that, because the lyrics were so strong and poignant that I really wanted people to listen to that and to have this chord structure just be that cloud and that vibe and that like dynamic energy that those lyrics were sitting on top of. So with something like that, and this was something I had fully fleshed out. And the lyrics were obviously like on top of that, but it creates this cool thing. And Brett Grossman, who mixes and is co-producer with me too, and who's the bass player in this band, came up with this beautiful melodic bass line. That was so great. That was something I would have never thought of. And it adds such a beautiful conversational element to the song. That's really, really interesting and really neat. But it has this cool dynamic of like being really chill and really like kind of talky to something that gets really big and then just goes from like a D major to a C major. And then back. So dynamics I find very fun. I love that stuff. So, and I told that to the guys when we were, starting to get it together and get it good and get it to where we could perform it live. Is like, hey, really hit into those dynamics. If you think you're pushing too hard, I want you to push a little more, Yeah. Because it's just so fun. Like, as a listener, those are the kind of songs I just love so much. Going back to a song like No Quarter, where it starts off like really, really mellow, and then that riff comes in, you're like, oh, like I am here for this. Like, this is so great. I look to my heroes for that kind of stuff. Like those energetic things that get me excited when I'm listening to songs, something like No Quarter, House is the Holy in general is like one of my favorite Zeppelin albums. And really tapping in when I want to write songs, I'm like, what does that song make me feel? It makes me feel this. Okay. Why does it make me feel that way? Is it the power of the riff and then going into something that's like kind of chill? Is it that kind of dynamic energy? Is it the chord progression that is something that's interesting? That is, bringing out something that's cool, like going from a major 1 to a minor 4. Oh, I found that so cool, that kind of progression. So I try to talk to myself and see what is it about this song that I'm listening to by one of my favorite artists, whether it's Tom Petty or Led Zeppelin or Patty Griffin or whatever. What is it that's inspiring to me? And I just write that down. I don't judge it. I just think about it. Okay, what are these things? And then through me, how can I try to encapsulate that energetic response that I have to the song? I try. I'm still learning. I'm a perpetual student of this. And especially with songwriting, because really songwriting I've been doing for like 10 years. I haven't been doing it that long. But I've been an admirer of music since I was, a little kid. So it's like I know the things that I like. And that's something too, is I just write the music that I like. Because it's art. So I write what I like. I write what I hear. And if someone else likes it, that's great. But like I guess I come from songwriting in maybe a little bit of a selfish way. Because I write it for me. Because it's for me. And if someone else enjoys it, that's great. And if someone else doesn't like it, that's fine. Because I know, like, you and I, like, we don't like every genre of music, and that's totally okay. I do it because it's an artistic release for me. Yeah. It's fun. It's fun. Oh, my gosh. And then you get to perform these songs. Like, how freaking great is that?
Yeah.
It's such a cool thing. That we get to make music out of something like this. I don't know what normal people do, but this is great.
Agreed.
I'm so thankful. There are some days, obviously, in this business where we get a little discouraged. I'm not going to pretend that I don't get discouraged now and again. We all have those days. I know I sure do. Where you kind of, oh boy. Yeah, we all do. So I'm not going to pretend like, oh my goodness, like every day is wonderful. No. No, it is not. There are some days where I question this, but what brings me back is to the love of the instrument, and that I am a constant student of it, and that what we do, it helps people. What we do helps people. It's a beautiful thing. So I have to remind myself, when I have those tough days, it's like what we do. This is like such a gift that we do get to do this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Be artistic in a really cool, unique way.
Definitely. I really appreciate that. And I'm curious about now, like for guitar playing and songwriting, while they're obviously related, they are different skill sets. If you're in the woodshed, and you're practicing your pentatonic scale or something, like that's not exactly songwriting at that moment in time. Do you do different specific things for each set of practice? Is there like a way that you kind of, or do you just try to play as much as you can, or how does that work for you?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Okay. So as far as like the songwriting part, like the writing of lyrics with that and like chord progressions, like that kind of what you mean by songwriting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So with that, I don't try and pick like, okay, I'm going to write the lyrics first on this song, or okay, I'm going to do the chord progression on this song. I don't try and force anything. Mm-hmm. If there's something that I find that makes me curious, or something that sparks a creativity, I try and chase it. Mm-hmm. So if it's an interesting chord progression that I hear in, say, I don't know, a Tom Petty song, and I try and chase it and put it into my own vernacular, right? With using my own syntax and trying to come up with things. And I always check in myself. Am I being authentic to who I am as an artist, or am I writing this for someone else? Or am I writing this for me? Because if I'm writing it for someone else to do it, it's out the door. I got to write it for me. That's my big thing. Because it's like, okay, well, this is coming from my voice somewhere deep, right? I want it to be true to who I am. And again, it goes back to I'm writing this for me because this is really fun. So I try and chase those things. Is it a chord progression, like I mentioned earlier? Is this why do I have this certain energetic response to this chord progression? Let me chase this. In regards to lyrics, and I let whichever be first. So if the lyrics tend to come to me first, I think about, okay, I look at the overlying theme that's happening here. All right. And you go to the basic things first. Is this a major or a minor song? I know for me, that's what I do. Yeah. Like, okay, is this something that has a really kind of sad texture to it, or, something that's happy and fun and silly, like a song like High Roller is just silly and fun and just talks about, bad dates that I've been on and like bad boyfriends and stuff. So I'm like, this is fun. I'll just write a song like this.
Yeah.
And then there's songs that are more contemplative, like Ghost Inside a Frame, that I wrote, about a friend who died. So it's you, and I see, like, okay, is, a song like High Roller, am I gonna want to like really hang on a minor chord? Like, probably not. I want something that's upbeat and really fun and kind of cool. Whereas something like Ghost Inside a Frame was a bit more contemplative. So I wanted the chords to really match with that. And the lyrics came first with both of those songs. So, reading through and looking at the theme, like, oh, yeah, okay, I can kind of hear this. And it's funny, earlier before we got on here, you mentioned Taj Mahal. I was listening to a lot of Taj Mahal before I wrote High Roller, because I wanted it to have that fun, like, bluesy vibe, but yet you can dance to it.
Uh-huh.
That's what I was looking for. And just something that was just fun, because sometimes songwriting shouldn't be so serious. Like, I was listening to an interview with the Foo Fighters, and it's like, not every song needs to be Imagine. And just the weight that is lifted with that comment, you're like, oh, not every song needs to be Imagine. Great. Okay. Yeah. And it I know for me, like, when I first heard that, I'm like, oh, so I can just like totally have fun with this and see what happens. Now, obviously, there are songs that are like more serious and all of that stuff. But I think we need to make space to be a bit playful, because it's like we do this because it's fun, right?
Totally.
So I really like to look at the big picture and see like what's going to best serve the song. Because at the end of the day, that's what wins. So if there's a series of lyrics that I really like, but they're not serving the song, they have to go. And like, I have to be really honest with myself. It's like, I love those lyrics, and I know there's a good, there's a good vibe to it, and the way that they flow together. Like, I like how like talky it is, or I like how this and this is happening. But it's not going to work on this song, so I need to put it somewhere else. Mm-hmm. But it's still good. It's just not good for this. So being very, very honest, even though if I love something, and I've had to do it many times, where, ooh, I love these lyrics, but it's not going to work. Or, ooh, I love this riff, but it's feeling forced in this song. It's not going to work. Just being very honest, because, the song will tell you what it needs. And it's up to you to just be very honest, like, okay. And if a song doesn't need a guitar solo, I don't put one in.
Yeah.
I don't put one in. Like in Slapjack, I don't solo on that. Even when we do it live, I don't really solo on it, because I have that super fun riff that I'm doing. And I have a cool little tag, like at the end of the chorus part. And I'm like, I'm good. Like that, I love like being a foundational player too. Like I love playing rhythm. Like sure, like playing lead and all that stuff is great. But I love like really sitting in the pocket with Steven and Brett. Or, even, other drummers and bass players and stuff in other bands. I love sitting there. Like, that is so fun to me. I think that's something that's perhaps maybe overlooked with a lot of guitar players, is good rhythm. And I'll tell you what, and most of my studio gigs, I get for rhythm playing.
Yeah.
So it's an important thing to think about, too, as a player, is like, work on your rhythm. It's super fun. It's super fun, and it gets you a lot of work.
Yeah.
So,
that's
my long-winded answer. There you go, Jules.
That's great advice. It's great advice, though. It really is. Man, so thank you for all that. And I have a question, and I want to ask this very thoughtfully. I mean it respectfully, and I don't think you'll take it the wrong way or anything, but I don't think you might have seen this question coming. But I'll just give you where it's coming from first. So I went to Berklee College of Music in Boston. And when I was there, it was like, gosh, it was pretty bad. It was like 4-1 or maybe 5-1 guy to gal ratio. So the ladies were outnumbered quite heavily.
And this is in the guitar department?
I think this was at school.
And it was like,
in general.
It
was like worse in the guitar department, which is my point. And so in this guitar world, in the guitar industry these days, I'm just curious, some of my favorite female guitar players, one of the best nights of music I've ever seen in my entire life was Jeff Beck with Jennifer Batten playing guitar with him.
Jennifer's a friend. She is awesome. Talk about a cool person. Jennifer's great.
She's one of the goats. She's just such a badass, so amazing. A friend of ours, Gretchen Menn.
Yes. So Gretchen, Jennifer, and we did a teaching symposium together during COVID, and it was such a blast.
That
I
is
learned
so
so
cool.
much from her. I mean, both of them too. We I could talk about Gretchen for a while and how incredible she is too.
Yeah.
It was such a for me. It was such an honor to like teach alongside these two, and Vicky Ganfan too, who was part of the
Yeah.
symposium with us. Just monster players, and I'm like, hi, I'm Angela. Yeah, it was
And-
great.
I love hearing all of the. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall for that. And my question to you is, how do you navigate the world of the guitar world as a female, handling things like social media? What I saw over and over at Berkeley was ladies not getting the benefit of the doubt or having just assumptions made of them simply because they're a lady. And then they start playing their guitar or whatever, and like they shut the critic up. But I'm just curious, in this difficult world, like it's difficult for me as a white guy playing guitar, and it's hard. And I'm just curious about the sort of hill that you have to climb to, have people respect you, take you seriously. If you've had people be really disrespectful and you have to just, I'm just kind of curious if there's like, I mean, I applaud you so much, and Jennifer and Vicky and Gretchen and all the ladies in the music industry. We need more women in the music industry for sure. So I love seeing, successful people like you who are, growing their audiences, showing the new generations how cool music is, encouraging people to play. How has that journey been for you? Have you faced people just kind of unfairly treating you simply because of that fact? Or, it does, I'm just kind of curious to hear a little of your side of the story, because from what I've seen, I just see like, wow, I applaud all the ladies who have a career in music, the guitar industry, and everything, because it seems like the cards are kind of stacked against them, so to speak. Do you have any experiences that or just kind of like just your perspective on that?
Firstly, thank you for all those kind words. That was really nice.
Oh yeah.
When I first was taking guitar lessons, so my guitar teacher is Jimmy Scott, and I literally talk to him all the time. Talked to him before we got on here today. He was my first really important mentor in this industry. And I was, I'd been playing since I was 9, and I started going to him, and I believe I was like 11 or 12. I can't remember. But he was my teacher for a very long time. And he told me, he goes, this business is tough, but it is going to be even tougher for you because of just your makeup, your genetic makeup of who you are. He goes, and the one piece of advice that I can give you is to always be prepared, is to work really hard, and just to work really hard. So I took that to heart, and I still do. So, okay, work really hard and be prepared. I can have, there have been times where I've been at gigs and, something, amp wasn't working, pedals out, this and this and this. You better believe I have a plan A through Z in my head of things that can happen so that I can keep the train moving. So he really instilled that in me, was to be prepared, even if it's having an extra cable. And I can't tell you how many times I've been to gigs and my bandmates didn't have an extra cable, but I sure did. Or, oh my gosh, this mic sounds bad. Oh, don't worry, I got another one. My mom also teases me it's because I'm a Gemini, and I'm always prepared anyway. So maybe it's
I'm a Gemini too.
Oh, really? When's your birthday?
May
if you want to.
29th.
Oh, okay. Oh, so we're really close. I'm June 6th.
Oh wow, cool.
Oh, okay. So we're close. I love it. Geminis
That's
are
great.
great.
Yeah. My daughter's a Gemini too. It's great. I was like, yes.
Yeah, Geminis are pretty great. I like to think so. Some of my best friends are Geminis too.
Yeah,
so.
me too.
It's good. It's great. We're good people. So he instilled in me to always be prepared. Now, I would be lying if, there have been times where I've walked into a gig and people immediately are like, have an idea of what I can do. Mm-hmm. And in the beginning, when I was younger, that really used to bother me. Because it's like, listen, like, I don't, just because I have ovaries doesn't mean I can't play.
Yeah, exactly.
I work really hard, and I just love this craft. And I think when I was younger, how we all are, when we're younger, we're just there to prove something. I'm not really like that anymore. I do this because I love it. So, and now it's like kind of funny when people have an expectation and, it's, oh, wow, you're actually good. I hate the word actually. I get that all the time. You're actually good. It's like, well, I actually practice. Like, I don't know what to say to that. I actually practice. I just work really hard. I do it, I do it for me. Sure. I think like my bandmates kind of get a little more ticked off about stuff like that than I do. Like, oh my God, that guy, how he was talking to you and stuff. And I'm like, I just got to let it be. It's like, I don't do it to prove to other people that I can do it. I do it to prove to myself that I can do it. Right. And I work hard and I'm prepared and I work on my craft. And yeah, I don't do it to prove people wrong. I do it because I love it. I do it because I love it. And yeah, there's always going to be those that's always going to be there. So like, whatever. It's just part of it. But yeah, I mean, there's been so many bands where, I'm the only female musician in the band. But at the end of the day, it's like, just call us guitarists.
Yeah, right.
There you just call us guitarists. Like, wow, you're my favorite female guitarist. Like, okay. It's such a weird comment to make. I don't know. That's just me. It's like, just call me a guitarist.
I mean, close your eyes and listen, and what do you hear?
Right. We're playing the same 12 notes. I don't know if you've noticed.
Which is what brings my question up, right? Because it's like, what a ridiculous thing to judge somebody so harshly on when they walk in the room. I've seen it myself. And so, I really appreciate that answer because, yeah, I just, but preparedness, not giving an inch when as much as possible. Because there's going to be an inch everywhere, every once in a while, maybe.
There's one guy who says something just absolutely stupid. And I'm like, whatever. I can't let it ruin my day, which is also why I don't read YouTube comments.
The amount of noise and just general, obviously the internet, the amount of people going into their most negative selves is ridiculous. And it is just great to shut the noise out and be on your path and do things for yourself.
Right, because there's just so many different definitions of what success is to people.
Yeah.
There's so many, like, my interpretation of what success is to my brain may be different than you, or maybe different than, a Joe Schmo guitarist or musician, whatever. It's reminding yourself why you're doing it. There's always going to be critics, always.
That's true.
Always, like, they're just gonna be there, and I'm a big so I'm a big fan of meditation. I've been doing it every day for almost 10 years now, and it has absolutely changed my life in the way that I just you deal with the critics and the chatter that's in our minds. And I like to think of those critics as clouds. It's like they are there and then they just go. Right. Look at and then they just go. Because if you're gonna keep it in your head and like what people say that's negative, if you're gonna hold on to that, that's on you.
Yep.
That's on you. And I get it. Like, it's a dopamine hit when you go online and you see like comments that are nice, and one bad one can just ruin your day. So just don't look, and then it won't ruin your day. Yeah. But it's again, it's going back to, we do this because we love it. And it shouldn't matter, you can't let it get to you. You can't let it get to you. So don't read. the comments.
Definitely. And just for everybody watching, thank you guys all for watching this whole hangout that we're having right now. We're kind of rounding third, headed for home. I have a couple more questions for you. And I want to ask you this next one because it's so tied into what we're talking about right now. It's kind of exactly what we were just saying, but I want to ask the specific question. For someone, you are definitely very involved in, because of norms, you're high profile with, a lot of people out there know you via Instagram, YouTube, etc. What advice would you give to musicians in the year 2025? And I think you might have just given some of that advice, but I'm sure with that specific question, maybe there's more to, what you might recommend. But what would you recommend for people out there in 2025?
Ooh, okay. Firstly, be authentic to who you are. write music for you. I know for me, that's done me a world of good, is just I kind of put blinders on. Like, oh, well, music today is like this and this and this. That's what popular music is. I'm like, okay, that's great, but I don't want to write music like that. I write the music that inspires me, that I want to hear. So that's what I do. I don't write a song, oh, this is going to be a top 40 hit. I'm like, I'm good. Like, I don't need that. I want something that is inspiring to me and is something I'm going to want to play out, because that's important too. You gotta play out these songs. Mm-hmm. So being authentic, I think minimal time scrolling is helpful. I really believe that. I even have a timer on my phone. Once I hit, 20 minutes of social media time, it turns off the apps, which I have found to be incredibly beneficial, because instead of doing this, I'm like, Angela, how about you just practice? Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. That part.
Yeah. I should probably work on my craft. That'd be a good thing. There are different, as I mentioned, there are different definitions of success. So be very honest in what that is for you. And obviously, you want to keep that tiered. You want to, if there's a big goal you are working towards, take it in baby steps. Just, oh my God, I started my YouTube channel 2 months ago and I don't have 1 million subscribers. Well, these things take time. And making time to enjoy the journey is really important too, and making time to be present and like, wow, looking where you were, say, a year ago or 2 years ago or 5 years ago as a musician, and just taking a minute to go, wow, I've really grown as a person. I've grown as a musician. I've grown as a band leader. I've grown as a bandmate, et cetera, et cetera. Is taking the time to really look and see how far you've come and just to give yourself a pat on the back. Mm-hmm. I think that's really important, because this is such a go society that we are in. And I know for me, and I'm talking from experience, is making that time to be present and just take a deep breath and go, yeah, you're doing okay. You're doing it. Even on the hard days that we've talked about, we all have. Is taking a deep breath. It's like, hey, my legs work today and my lungs work today and my heart is beating and I don't need to tell it to. And, I have food in my stomach and I have a roof over my head. And, I've got a couple cool guitars that are really inspiring to me that I'm, really thankful to own. And I have, a really great community, which, leads me to my next thing, is really find your people, find your tribe. There's always going to be people to pat you on the back when you are up on top of that mountain. There's going to be no shortage of people who are just like, you're amazing, and are just going to, feed you all that stuff, which is great. It's good to be complimented and to take those compliments, and to look back on the hard work that you've done. That's absolutely important. But to find the folks that are going to be in the trenches with you too, when times get really tough. And trust me, I know I've had those tough times, and I know you have too. And you really find out who your people are in the tough times. When gigs might be a little slow, or there was just an awful, awful, horrible loss in life. It's important to find your people who are just gonna be there. So, I encourage musicians, go to jam nights. Go to open mics. Like, that's a great way to meet musicians. And I get it. Like, in this world, we're just, on our phones and like, go, like, talk to people. Go to jams. Like, my friend Alistair Green, he was playing down the street from my house. I'm like, gosh, I haven't seen him in a while. And, he'd recently moved to Texas. A great guitar player, by the way. Yeah. He's awesome. He had a killer trio. Oh, they're so good. It's like, oh, let's, go support each other. Your friends are playing. If you were not playing a gig, go and see them. And builds that community. It's really important, because I know it's tempting, especially after COVID, where a lot of us maybe forgot how to be social, and how to relearn it. Right. There are things, we just had to relearn. But to find your people is so, so important, because this is, music is community too.
Absolutely. I love all those points. And, I was just, when you were answering and in the middle of all that, I just thought one thing for me, just along all those or advice, is just this sense of forgiveness, and forgiveness for yourself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right. You post something and it gets 8 likes and you go, well, gosh darn it, it must have sucked. And it's like, you know what? This is some internet algorithm. Who cares? Whatever. This is not the value of you or the quality or anything. There's so many things at play here. And so you can't put a number of likes, subscribers, follow. That can't be equated to like how well you're feeling.
Subscribers and followers are not fans.
Yeah, right.
You know, fans, they buy your merch. They go to your shows. Like, those are fans. Sure, like, that number is cool, and, you know, it helps with certain opportunities and all that stuff, and it's absolutely wonderful. But, you know, be focused on building fans, and how we do that is to create community.
Yeah.
You know, like, so I have a series called the Riff Rundown, where it's like a live stream lesson series that I've been doing for over 4 years now, which is just crazy. And I really try and build a community through, you know, something, even though it's just like screen to screen. But to build community is really important. It's really important. And yeah, just remembering that, you know, sometimes that's just a number.
Yeah.
Subscribers and followers. It's just a number. We want to build fans. And by doing that is by building community. And again, that's different for every, you know, musician. It's different.
Yeah.
How do you build community that's authentic to you? You know, and people can tell when you're being authentic or when you're just doing something for clicks.
Bingo. Like, that's it. People can tell, you know, is your heart in this, or are you kind of like half-assing it and you're not really there?
We can feel it.
You know, and I'm really fortunate to have a cool, you know, online following, but man, there's, you know, just like you said, there have been some videos and I'm like, this is gonna crush. And then it doesn't. But to your point, it doesn't mean that it sucked or that it's bad. It's like, that's an algorithm thing.
Yeah.
But then again, we think about it. Why did you post that? Because it meant something to you and it has value to you. So at the end of the day, that's it.
Right,
like when I was recording my EP, The Voices, I made a promise to myself before, you know, I released it. I'm like, Angela, you did this for you. You did this for you. And that this EP exists is a win and is a success. So going back to what I was saying earlier is be very honest on what that definition is of success to you for each project that you do. For me, it was that I could prove to myself that I could write songs like that.
Right.
And make an album. So that was success to me. I really don't care if it sells 1 million copies. That's not important to me.
Right.
That it exists and that I proved to myself, I'm like, wow, we got together. And in a matter of pretty much 3 months, we created something that I'm really proud of. And I know for sure 20 years from now, 50 years from now, I'll listen back to that. I'm like, yeah, that was really fun. That's it.
So
that was
cool.
a great piece of art.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
That's it. Just, yeah, it's not important to me to sell 1 million records of that album. It's not. If it happens, okay, cool. But that's the icing on the cake. To me, success is that exists. And that's it.
I love that. That's great. It's great. It's great. It's exactly where I'm at with it too. You know, I mean, I start as much as this is the way I make my living and have my whole life at this point, my whole post-college life. I still love this thing with my whole heart and started playing as a hobbyist. And I, you know, so it's like, no, you can't take my heart out of this thing. That's for sure. You know,
yeah, you can hear it in your playing, man. Oh boy. You can hear that you love it and the way that you play. Ooh, I get goosebumps.
Oh, thank you.
It's too kind of you.
It's true.
Hey, well, thank you. No, that's so nice. And I can't wait to really come down and play with with you at Norm's. That's going to be
you
such
let me know
thrill.
when you're in LA. I'll make sure I don't get sick.
Yeah. You isolate yourself for 10 days before I come down to LA.
Yes. I'll grab my bubble suit. It'll be great.
Well, hey, I've got one more question for you.
Let's do it. This is fun. I could be here for another 2 hours. This is great.
I know. No, this is so great. And thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been
my
so
pleasure.
Fun.
My
It's just
pleasure.
Awesome. I'm curious about any specific pieces of gear. You know, it's so funny. I mean, we could have just talked about gear for an hour and a half for 10 hours. Are there any specific pieces of gear that are just like kind of must have or really exciting that have come out really recently?
I think we're both going to agree on this because we talked about it before. We're both plugged into our UAFX Enigmatics right now. I love this stuff. So I was called in a little over a year ago, and they were launching the Lion. So the Marshall, the 60, the Plexi, right? And we did our shoot, and this was another one of those instances. I'm like, oh my goodness, like what a blast to be here. So John Noto from Dirty Honey, right? And then Dweezil Zappa, right? And then Phil X, and then me. And it was, yeah, like
Awesome.
this is really awesome. And we shot it at the Viper Room. And to hear it when they first plugged in, I'm like, where's the amp? And they're like, there is no amp. We're going straight into the house. It blew my mind on how great this sounded, to the point where I subbed in Zepparella for our friend Gretchen Med, and I used the Lion. It was freaking great. It was so good. I even used it on my Nord Quarter video. That's the Lion on that.
Yeah.
It's so great. So this, like, so for today, like, I plugged it into my cab just because I really love my cab. But a lot of times I plug this in straight to my interface. If I'm like practicing stuff or like doing demos in my band, I don't even need a microphone. I'm like, here you go. I love these things. They're so awesome and they sound so good. So I have this one, I have the Lion, and I have the Dream. So I'm like, great. And I got a cab. I'm good. And I go through the power stage, the Seymour Duncan Power Stage 200 too.
Right.
At shows. And yeah, it's awesome.
I have the Enigmatic and the Lion, and I really want to one day have the whole, the Ruby, the Woodrow, the Dream. Yeah, they're so inspiring.
They're so good.
I got to play the first time I really, like, I got the Lion, almost a year ago at this point, and I tried it at home. I like made sure it worked. But I didn't spend that much time with it. The first time I really spent any time with it was playing the national anthem at the Giants game.
You used it there?
I got to plug the Lion into the stadium, and it's like, you can see that clip on both YouTube and my Instagram.
Oh my God, I'm looking it up right after this.
It's like, this little tiny thing filling the whole stadium. It's like, whoa, you can't believe how great those feel and sound. And I would say, if I were asked that exact same question, I would say, yeah, the UA pedal in a box, yeah, they're just so good. They're so exciting.
What a concept with the amp in a box. I am so thrilled. It's been a game changer for me. It really.
We've come a long way from those days with the red Line 6 Bean.
Yeah, well, that was like my first, I heard those and I'm like, it's not for me.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm just gonna carry amps and
right.
which tube amps are great. Listen, like, I love my Princeton reissue. I have a Hot Rod Deluxe that I love. I have a Vibroverb that I absolutely love. But they're, the Princeton not so much, and the Hot Rod either. But my Vibroverb is super freaking heavy.
Yeah.
And like I have lately been only bringing it to sessions because I'm like, God, I just don't want to bring this to gigs because it's just so heavy.
Yeah.
This, it's like, great. I have a Dumble, I have a Marshall, and I have a Fender, like, at my feet. And I can choose what I want. And it's on my pedal board. And my power stage is this big.
Right.
Like, everything, like, my rig, like, for Zepparella, when I subbed in for Gretchen, the entire rig was in my backpack. I had my pedal board with the Lion, and then my power stage, which was my amp head. All I needed as a backline was a cab. So I had my 412 Marshall there, and it was great, and it's consistent. That's another thing with those, is that this sounds exactly the same when you're at home versus if you're playing at a gig.
Right.
The consistency thing, that's big for me.
Yeah.
So good. They're wizards at UA.
Yeah, I know, yeah. Bravo, UA. You guys are...
Keep going.
Yeah,
I want to
and good people, too. Like, what a cool crew. Those guys are awesome.
That's awesome. Well, gosh, I mean, we could definitely, we'll have to have a volume 2 on this because
I'm in. You call me.
Yeah, I definitely want to have you back. But thank you so much, Angela. Just really a thrill to have you on today. I really appreciate you lending your time. And everybody, if you haven't already followed Angela Petrilli, go follow Angela. She's got so much cool stuff going on. Go follow her. Go follow Norm's Rare Guitars. You'll see her there all the time, and all the cool folks over at Norm's. Just wanna thank you so much, and really had a blast with you today, and hope to do it again sometime soon.
Likewise, it was such a pleasure. Thank you so much, Jules. This was great.
Yeah, you got it. Hey, that does it for this episode of Just Riffin', you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time. All right. Thanks so much. See you next time.